I never cease to be amazed at how relatively level-headed they keep. You know, sure, they were a little happier, but in terms of the approach to the work field and taking part in practice and even dealing with us wretches in the media, it wasn't appreciably different from the week before to the Saskatchewan win. Having said that, I mean, you could see it on the field, the difference, and they just seemed like a more excited, happier bunch, and it showed up. Now, understand all of this has to be tempered with the fact that they were playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and that was a bad football team, and you know, no secrets there. That was a bad football team, and Calgary's definitely going to have to ramp up the game for tomorrow's game at BC.
They're arguably the best team in the CFL right now, the BC Lions.
Oh, absolutely, and it starts on the defensive side of the football. They were just amazing here a couple of weeks ago when they just owned the line of scrimmage. Khalif Mitchell, Kareem Smith, those kind of guys were terrific, and they dictated the game. There's no question about it. And Calgary, you know, in a season full of wake-up calls, that might have been the ultimate wake-up call, including Touchdown Atlantic. That 2-week stretch served as a reminder that there was still work to do, and yes, they took a step against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but there's more to take, and I think this will be a real measuring stick of where this team's at for the stretch run.
Who will you be focusing on?
Well, you know, John Cornish got named Player of the Week, Player of the Month earlier this week. And going back to BC, Vancouver's his hometown, he's really fired up to put on a show, and you know what, he's got all the skills to do that. He's just been terrific, and that's an aspect of this game I'm really looking forward to, is you got 2 Canadian featured running backs, Andrew Harris for the BC Lions, so that's going to be pretty cool to watch. On the line of scrimmage, Charleston Hughes, obviously he had a great week last week against Saskatchewan with a couple sacks, the touchdown. They've got to keep putting pressure on the quarterback, and that was shown how valuable that is. And the funny thing about that game too, the Saskatchewan game, is that they really weren't rushing an awful lot of players. They were going 4- and 5-man rush. The week before against Hamilton, they were blitzing an awful lot, and it wasn't paying off. So for whatever reason, they were able to win the one-on-one battles against Saskatchewan.
Speaking of quarterbacks, is the bullseye off Henry Burris's back?
It's never off the quarterback's back, let's face facts. Yeah, he took a step and managed a very efficient game, and let's face facts, he was helped out by the fact the running game was so effective, and that just makes life so much easier for a quarterback. And you know, quarterbacks are always an easy target, and as Henry's wants to say, and John Huffnagel wants to say, they always get too much credit and too much blame, and I think that's probably the situation with Henry Burris. If you look at the big picture of what he's done this season, it's not unlike last season when he was the MOP in this league. He's had some good games, a lot of good games. He's had some bad games, had a few of those. For the most part, I still think he's performed as well as the Stampeders could have hoped.
Any indication this week of which Calgary Stampeders club we're going to see tomorrow night?
If I had a coin right now, I'd flip it. You know, it's that kind of thing. They played very, very well against Saskatchewan. There's no question about that. Can they do it for 2 weeks in a row? They have to do it. They have to start doing that if they want to be a playoff contender and be a contender to play at BC Place Stadium in late November.